Coming up this week, what is your opinion on supervised injection sites? Also, how do you perceive Canada's image on the world stage? This and much more to come. Hitting the streets, this is Outburst. Hello and welcome to Outburst. I'm Glenn McGuinness. These days, the dangers of intravenous drug use have escalated with the presence of OxyContin, fentanyl, and carfentanil on our streets, which have been attributed to many fatal overdoses. Safe or supervised injection sites are just an example of the effort to cut down on the spread of disease and overdoses by providing users with clean needles and a safer environment. But all good intentions aside, not everyone thinks they're a good idea, and some say, not in my backyard. So we took the topic to you. Our question: what is your opinion on supervised injection sites?
Well, I guess if it means for a healthier person instead of getting the disease from other used needles, it would be better. I don't agree with it, but it's what our world's coming to.
Well, I mean, you can't really force people to stop, but it's better to have like a safer environment for them to do so. Otherwise, you could like risk the spread of disease and stuff. So I think they're a good thing. I mean, drugs in general are bad, but at least they're trying to help in some way.
I mean, it's harm reduction. I'm for it, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the data, over time, the costs will be lower. So yes, empirically, it makes sense.
I'm against them because it's unequal for the population. What they're doing on those sites is criminally illegal, yet the same government using my tax money sets up these sites.
I don't know a lot about it, but I think it's a good idea. I think it feels like it's a way to make things safer. If people are going to be doing that anyway, then as a way to make it safer for these people. Yeah.
I think it would be safer. At least it would have clean disposal, and we wouldn't be finding needles the public is more safe.
I actually am in support of supervised injection sites. I think as a harm reduction model, it's got some efficacy. Yeah, I know people don't want it in their backyard, but it is what it is, and it's going to be happening no matter what. So,
I'm for them because I've been following ever since Judge Pitfield ruled on them in Vancouver about 6 years ago or something like that. Apparently, in terms of the health of the neighborhood, downtown East Side, I guess it was called, it's worked very well. In terms of people's health in general, it seems to work well. And I can't see any possibility of a law that would be enacted to counter this, because it would be a law that might support bad health.
When you see these types of things introduced, it does provide an overall, positive safety. I mean, let's face it, some of this stuff is going to happen anyway, so if it's more regulated, safer to, provide to people, generally that is a positive, and it's not going to increase the usage or anything like that, but more likely you'll probably be able to help people that are looking to stop, because we all know that it doesn't just happen right away. So yeah, I don't know if that's just more education, learning a little bit more about it and stuff like that. So
before, I probably would have said no, definitely not for it, but I agree that it's a way to monitor it. It's a way to provide a safe place for those who want to use drugs, to use drugs, right? So yeah, I think it's one of those things where I'm for it, and that way we can get those people the help that they need. So,
well, I don't think it's a good idea for people to be using drugs, period, and by supervising it, you're sort of putting your stamp of approval on it. So I just don't agree.
Addiction is a very difficult disease, and we have to help those struggling with it in any way we can, and if keeping them safe is one way to get them even closer to recovery or help them leave safe lives, then it's really important, and it's important people understand more about addiction, and that it is a disease, and it's good people and a bad disease. So
what do you say to people who say it's going to lead to other things in our neighborhoods? It's going to bring the neighborhoods down.
Well, you don't really know what's going on in your neighborhoods anyway. Some of those people that are using the injection site might be your next door neighbor that you don't know who is going through something behind closed doors. So
I think it's a good idea. It's all about harm reduction, and if it gets more people off the streets and in a safe environment, partaking in these activities, whether or not they're illegal or they're just looking for a safe place to inject whatever into their bodies, I'm all for a safer environment for them.
I think they're an excellent idea. I think that we need to make sure that people who need that can get that done safely, and you may not support the idea, but we need to ensure that I think it's both safer for the people getting the injections and for those around us.
I think we'd be very immature or naive to think that it's not happening, and I believe, especially in our community here in Bloor West Village, I really see it as a microcosm of what is out there all over the place. We have halfway houses, we have a prison halfway place on Keel. It's integrated. There isn't any fear of, oh my goodness, what if somebody gets out and all that. So why not an injection site? Let's have an injection site so people feel safe. I'll feel safer if they're safer.
True or false? Canada has the longest coastline in the world.
True. 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 True.
True. True.
True. I would say true, given all of it.
It is true. Very good. Measuring 202,080 kilometers, Canada has the longest coastline of any country in the world. Canada was definitely one of the countries that weathered the 2008 global financial crisis. But these days, with an uncertain future, especially regarding trade with the U.S., the Liberal government has pledged to improve infrastructure across the country to boost the economy. So when it comes to dollars and cents, what guidance can you offer? Our question: what is the best way to keep Canada's economy strong?
There's a momentum happening where people are possibly turning more to the smaller businesses and wanting to be more local. And so if his approach could be also listening more to the concerns of what the local communities are and offering some support to what that could be, because each community can be different, I think that would be helpful, not only for the small communities and the small business owners, but also for, where we can see our growth happen on a more national scale. Like pulling all these smaller resources together and boosting our smaller businesses can support the global national economy.
Getting ourselves on the international stage in different ways, but also remembering that we need to support our local economies. And I see a lot of stores, small businesses in this neighborhood that are going out of business. And it's because we're not supporting them, unfortunately, as much as I think we should.
Continue to invest in Canada, in its natural resources. I've got a daughter working on behalf of First Nations in BC, and she's fighting to keep wilderness healthy and happy on their behalf, but also on Canada's behalf. And essentially the world stage, because that's what we have. We have the North.
I think our policies, government policies, could be much more encouraging. Taxation could be lower by far. We're not spending enough money on training young people for the skills that are required for them to succeed. I think we could do a lot more by way of technology. I'm not talking like physics, computers, the sciences instead of the social sciences. There's a lot of things that we could do. All of that takes a lot of money. I don't think we are putting that kind of money, and for the people that need help, that are people that are caught behind, that don't have the skills, we should be putting money into that for young people so they have better skills. I don't think we need low quality skills nowadays. The world is going in a different direction, so that's where the future is. And whether we get that by training our people, which is better, than having immigrants coming in that are highly qualified, because that doesn't really solve the problem, because the people that are born here left behind are not getting the stuff that they need.
Well, as a student, I would like more resources allocated to young people and more investment in helping young people find jobs after university, college, whatever post-secondary or secondary options that they choose to take, whatever they want. I just want to see more investment in the government and a cap on tuition as well.
That's a great question and a really big question. I'm not trying to be political here, but if our country can strike an intelligent balance between protecting the environment and exploiting the environment, I think that would be one general guideline. And if our country can manage somehow to strike a halfway intelligent deal with that force I cannot name down south, that would be a second kind of guideline. But beyond that, I'm not much of an economist. But I'll say one thing. I'll just say one thing. In this province, some of our premiers have managed to balance the budget, and some have not. And I really think whoever is in power here should look very seriously at building up a rainy day fund.
Work together and try not to fight everyone, and we'll have to get along with Trump no matter what for a while.
Tough one. We're basically a resource economy overall, so we need to keep working along those paths but looking towards the future. So green energy, kind of nebulous. So we need to make investments in research and development and technology to kind of bring everything together. So the devil is in the details there, but that's the general idea.
I'm a believer in not just adhering to the 5-year election cycle and trying to make some long-term changes as opposed to making all these short-term feel-good changes. So in terms of Brad Wall's government, I don't like these taxing or cutting all these support programs that are eventually, I think, just going to cost us more down the road.
Best way, I think, I'd continue with diversifying, being able to, look at our local products, keeping, whether it's our farming or, things like that, or oil, just keeping things local and then diversifying and just making sure that we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket, i.e. oil in Alberta, that goes, the whole economy tanks, make sure that we're, providing something that's more sustainable, so.
Not a huge fan of the whole temporary foreign worker situation, I have to say. I think that we are treading on dangerous grounds there, taking jobs away from Canadians who need them. So yeah, those two things, diversification and doing away with temporary foreign workers. So.
Well, I think you have to support small business, both small, medium, and large business, but I don't think you can be giving money to big businesses like Bombardier and then seeing small businesses struggle to keep all their employees on. So I just think that it needs to be lower taxation for business, and generally that's going to help the economy.
Canada's coldest recorded temperature was minus 62.8 degrees Celsius. Where did this occur? Churchill, Manitoba, Snag, Yukon Territory, or Hay River, Northwest Territories? Churchill, Snag, or Hay River?
Hay River. Hay River. Okay, I know Churchill is the polar bear capital. Yukon's far north. I'm gonna go with Churchill.
Elk River? No? Churchill?
Churchill.
Snag.
You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Snag, Yukon, has the dubious distinction of recording the lowest temperature in Canada at minus 62.8 degrees Celsius on February 3rd, 1947. The consequences of radicalization is something many nations around the world now face, and security experts are suggesting that Canada could be the victim of homegrown terrorism. But keeping on top of this is a full-time job for national security. So how much ground can be covered? We took this question to Canadians. Are you confident in the federal government's ability to combat homegrown terrorism?
The jury's out on that one. Personally, right now, I would say that we have a really strong defense mechanism in terms of the RCMP and CSIS and all of that. So yes, I think so.
Absolutely not.
Would you care to expand on that a bit?
I don't think we have the necessary structures in place on a national basis to do that. And I think we're a little naive as a population.
I'm not super confident in our ability for that. Even just local events that have happened, not terrorism events here in Saskatoon, but we have had incidents, and I think there's more we could do to combat that.
As things go, if you look at what the Saskatoon police did with the latest bomb scare, bomb explosion, and if you look at what's happened in the wake of certain small threats, I think we've done an okay job. I'd rather our police focus on other things than these threats, I guess.
No, not a bit.
Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, they're letting all the refugees into the country, not checking them, not doing anything, and they're just piling up, and nobody's doing a damn thing about it. So, my opinion, just shut the borders down and kick them all out.
Yeah, honestly, it's not a huge priority for me. I think if you look at the stats, you're much more likely to be injured by a lot of other things. So, homegrown terrorism, although it gets a lot of publicity, I don't feel it's the threat that some people think it is.
I have confidence in our governance. Currently with the government, there are some things that I do have some concerns about with the current government, but I think from a privacy and a security perspective, I think we're doing a good job, and I have confidence in our governance.
The platforms that he has chosen, I don't support, and I don't think that he's giving terrorists and homegrown terrorists the attention that it needs. I haven't heard anything by way of a plan, any solutions, and I certainly don't have the solutions, but I'm not confident whatsoever.
I think they're doing the best they can do. There's no way you're going to stop 100% of terrorism, but as long as they've got CSIS and some of the other agencies involved in doing what they can do to try and keep on top of it. And it really comes down to the local people in the local community centers and churches and mosques, making sure that their kids aren't radicalized.
How to control this? If we, in present time, when the freedom is granted, we can intervene in these websites, we should or not. In my opinion, maybe we should somehow. I think in Europe they already do this.
My personal opinion, being a son of an immigrant, people that came from different things, I think the government is probably doing a very good job by venting so that we get the right people. For example, the recent batch that arrived, they were in camps. There was quite a lot of venting doing. And I think this is a country full of immigrants. Everybody needs a break. I also am sort of compassionate to the fact that a lot of people come from strife, hunger, political unrest. I think Canada can accommodate these people. And whether they're doing a good job, I really can't answer it professionally, but it seems that they are doing a job that is probably meeting our satisfactions. It's not like they're just letting it free for all. So I think they are probably doing a good job.
In terms of the government being able to do anything, I think they're doing things already. Perhaps we don't know everything. I'm assuming that there's stuff happening so that they can maybe see if there are any cells in the country or in different areas of our city or country that there's some concern. I'm not an expert, so I have no idea what they might be doing in terms of that and monitoring. But I know they take it very seriously. I would assume so, and because of what's happening in our world right now. So I would like to think that, yes, this government is taking it seriously, and when you compare it to governments outside of this country, especially our neighbors to the south, I do believe that we're being extremely vigilant, but not in a way that is fear-mongering.
Yes, I mean, we've had very little of it here, and I think there's been good evidence that the government has intercepted a number of plots. So yeah, I'm fairly confident, and we do have the Atlantic and the Pacific to buffet us, but for homegrown, yeah, I'm pretty confident.
I feel safe in Canada, that's for sure. I think we are a country that is seen as friendly, so I don't know if we're targeted that much, but yeah, I feel safe.
And when you compare, someone was comparing to other countries that are dealing with terrorism, but here at home...
I mean, we do have our share of terrorism, but I don't think it's to the extent that we're seeing outside of Canada. So, yeah, I think the country's doing enough to protect ourselves as best as they can.
Historically, Canada's image around the world has been favorable. We're known as peacekeepers, and our victory at Vimy 100 years ago is still recognized as heroic. But the world is always changing, and Canada is no exception. So we sent our cameras out to ask Canadians how they think we're looked at in 2017. Our question: how do you think Canada is perceived on the world stage?
Well, I think it's quite a well-known country, and you know, like my colleague said, my cousin said, you know, it's quite a cool country, nice, people are friendly, nice atmosphere, nice and cool compared to our country, but it's cool, yeah.
Yeah, well, even when I was a teenager and we went to Europe I went on a school cruise. They said, "Are you American?" And I said, "No, we're Canadian." And they went, "Oh, we love Canadians." And that was way back in '72. So I think we're growing even more because of being peacekeepers. And yeah, people go, Canadians are nice. And they have all different perceptions of all different countries. But yeah, I think that's, and it's just going to continue that way.
Actually, it's a great perception of Canada all over. I'm from Europe, and I never heard anything bad about Canada. Never, never.
I am proud to be Canadian. I'm not born here, but well, I'm basically from Ukraine, but well, I'm proud to be Canadian now because I like to be treated like that, so people think we're nice people, and we're trying to keep that image as well, right, when we're traveling, yeah.
I think because we've got a good reputation, we're there with a helping hand when people need it, and I know people say we're very apologetic, but
and polite.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think people respect Canada, because we're open to taking people from all parts of the world.
Oh, ever since I was a teen or a university student traveling, I was really proud. I insisted on a Canadian flag on my Army backpack, and I still would do that if I could get up and out and travel right now. Both my parents are needing our help in the city, but Canada's where they chose to be, and I love how it looks after them.
So on the world stage, we kind of flip-flop a little bit. I think right now we're the golden children. We've got a really popular prime minister. We've made some kind of forward-looking steps in terms of, bringing everyone to the table. So Justin Trudeau's a feminist. He's made a lot of steps there. So that kind of stuff, I think, puts us in the right light for a lot of people. But our American friends might not quite be on the same page. They're kind of forging their own path right now. So hopefully in the next 4 years we'll be able to, bring everything together a little bit more.
I think we're a fair country, and we have a fair leader, and we have done well, and I think we're well liked, so we just got to keep it that way.
I believe Canada, as always, is a friendly nation and friendly people. Everywhere I travel, you have a Canada flag, you're always welcome. So I think we're doing well.
I think we have a very good image right now. I think as somebody who does a lot of traveling, I'm always very proud to present myself as Canadian. So I think Canada's done a great job in presenting itself in a good light.
I think I'm definitely proud to be from Canada. I would much rather, I have no shame in saying that I'm Canadian. And so, yeah.
I'm not really sure because I don't get a lot of input from
you know, other media sites and stuff from other countries, but I would assume that they see us as a peaceful country, but they don't really know what's going on.
Well, in spite of Trudeau's drop in popularity, we're still perceived, as far as I can read, and you know, newspapers, I read several newspapers, I think we're perceived very well, and if I still feel, in spite of all that's happened in the past year with Trudeau, I feel that I can walk proudly throughout the world, as I'm about to do next month, as a Canadian again. It's like we've got some of our country and some of our reputation back again. And that's a highly prejudiced opinion, I guess, but that's my opinion anyway.
I think we're a strong competitor right now. I know our economy is in a decent place right now, and I think that we're a strong competitor in the global market right now, and I feel that we have a strong future for this province and for the Canada as well.
I think it's good, especially recently. I think Canada's really gotten back to what it was before. I think we're a respected nation out there in the world, and yeah, it makes me proud to be Canadian. And I know, like, when I run into other people in the world, they're always excited to meet a Canadian. So we're doing something right. So,
you know, I would say overall more positive. I mean, honestly, I think, you know, I'm more proud to be Canadian than I was before. I think we do have a lot of values that people look at, and I do think that overall it's gotten stronger, and you know, people do look at us as somewhere that they want to be, and hence why I do see a lot more people that do want to come here. So
I think overall very positive. I think Canada is a great place to be. Not originally from Canada, but I've been in Canada since the age of 9. So very positive. I'm proud to actually call myself Canadian at this point in time. So yeah, absolutely, it's a positive thing.
I think we're pretty well respected on the world stage. For the most part, I think we've been that way for a lot of years, and I just hope it continues.
Which Commonwealth country used the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms as a model for its own Bill of Rights? India, Malaysia, or South Africa?
South Africa.
Malaysia.
South Africa. South Africa. I was going to say South Africa.
Malaysia. South Africa.
It's South Africa.
Yay!
Good for you. South Africa's 1996 Constitution and Bill of Rights draw heavily on Canada's Charter of Rights and Freedoms. That's all for this episode of Outburst. Like what you see? Well, you can watch more episodes on our website at www.cpac.ca, on our CPAC TV To Go app, as well as our YouTube channel. You can also join the conversation via social media on Twitter and Instagram at CPAC_TV. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of all my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.